Hi, Mike and Bron. It's just Nick Ansell here, checking in for my assignment three, my reflective piece on the study tour to Malaysia and Singapore, the public relations study tour to Malaysia and Singapore. So, hope you enjoy my presentation. To provide a quick outline of the activities in which we undertook whilst on the tour, we went to, first of all, we arrived. First day, we did a race around KL, which was a fantastic bonding experience. Second day, we began our week at Taylor's University, which was one of the most amazing experiences in my life. Going there and experiencing ways in which Malaysian public relations university students go about learning, the way they go about executing public relations, the way that they study it, to be perfectly honest as well. It was all such an enthralling experience. After um, after Taylor's, we made our way down to Malacca. Had a weekend off. Took in some of the sights down there, which was really interesting. I thought it was quite warm. The whole trip was, but that was especially warm. Had a fantastic tour guide in Kenny. He was great. Went down, looked at the Portuguese settlement, looked at everything down there. Looked at the markets down there. Look, that was fantastic as well. After Malacca, we ventured across the border to Singapore, which was a vast change of scenery. I mean, just to go there and to go from jungle in Malaysia to the concrete jungle, which is Singapore, was it was just unbelievable. That was a fantastic little bit of the week. There we saw a lot more consultancies, people, the way they go about public relations as well, and we also had a look at how the media is controlled in Singapore and compare that to Malaysia. So that was a really good point of contrast as well, from two different places which are very close in Asia, but have very different cultures and very different lifestyles. So yeah. From the first assignment, the one thing which became as the biggest surprise to me was probably the fact that I knew that the media was the extent to which the government has control over the media there. I mean, I knew that the media was heavily censored, heavily controlled, but I don't think that you really can have a true understanding of how it all operates until you're actually in amongst that setting. Until you're actually able to see it with your own eyes, like when we went to the Star. That was one of the most amazing experiences that I've ever had, and look, to go there and to see the ways that they go about things, it was so different to what we'd see in Australia. So, look, and to go around the world and see all these testimonials along the wall saying that we believe in the freedom of the press, when all that paper churns out politically is just basically government propaganda. It was probably a new look at ignorance, I guess, in that sense. So, look, it was incredibly interesting, but quite scary at the same time. Additionally, a talk with Stephen Gann, that was, again, that sort of gave us a look at the freedom of the press in Malaysia, and, to see how he's changed Malaysia, and he's built up Malaysia Kini from, um, I guess, an underground rogue media outlet to a rather popular and free uh, medium of press. It was a fantastic story to listen to and a great experience. I think one of the things that it was the biggest impact on me personally, and this was enormous, and we really gained an insight into this. Gain an insight into how living a corporate lifestyle will affect you. I mean, to operate on, to sometimes if we had a function up until 11 p.m. at night, having to get up at 7, the next morning, you've really learned to work off not that much sleep, and that's something I think is really invaluable to use in your professional life. And I know it'll be invaluable for me. You learn what it takes to still require premium accuracy and professionalism in what you were saying, what you were doing when you're tired. And you can't afford to be a cranky, um, depressed entity. You have to be on it. You have to be enthusiastic. And you have to be ready to go, despite how much or how little sleep you've had. Thing, I think one thing that this trip um, really provided an insight into was, I guess, as well, how public relations has been affected as a result of the media, the media regulations and the media government control in that sense. I mean, if you look at it and you really examine what it's doing and what it has done, I mean, it's almost like a domino effect. I think public relations in Malaysia, and maybe not so much in Singapore, it's probably a little more developed in Singapore, especially though in Malaysia, it's still a little bit behind the ball in terms of where public relations is around the world. I mean, I think as well, a lot of the public relations campaigns, especially, I mean, Singapore had this as well, but they were very focused around publicity, and that was surprising because in Australia we're often taught to look at public relations as something which can be um, on even level with those in the boardroom. It can be almost like um, an advisory tool for the CEO, for board members, for directors. And look, to see public relations in, I guess, such a not it wasn't so much that it wasn't important, but to see public relations in such a raw form in terms of the if you look at Grunig and Hunt's four different models of public relations, see it as 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 purely publicity or public information. Those two, I mean, it's very one way almost, the communication. So, look, it was definitely an interesting change, and I think that's probably as a result of the media. Um, I think definitely moving forward, it's going to allow me to have a more well-rounded understanding of how public relations operates in Asia, and I think that's going to be really important because, I mean, look at globalization. It's just becoming such a small world, and Asia's very much becoming the center point of all this, especially with the free trade agreements that Australia's had with China, Korea, Japan. Look, it's only going to become more important for me moving into the public relations, media, journalism industry to have such a broad and well-rounded understanding of how things work over there. I think another thing as well, which is vastly important, and one thing that I've learned over there as well, was, I guess, the cultural barriers in which public relations practitioners have. I mean, over in Malaysia in particular, because it is such a diverse country with such a wide range of races, religions, cultures in the one place, public relations practitioners have to be extremely careful about the information that they expel so that it doesn't offend anybody. Because I guess the aim of public relations practitioners is to inform, is to improve the image of a brand or an organization. And if you're putting out something that's offending somebody, it's only going to be to the detriment of your organization or your brand. So therefore, um, I think that's a massive sort of um, hurdle in which the practitioners over there have to contend with. And I think it's something as well that in Australia it's only going to become more relevant with Australia becoming such a multicultural society. So, I mean, look, moving forward, that was a fantastic thing to be able to examine firsthand, to look at, and to see how it works. If you look at it as well, I think that this is probably more of a personal accolade or an achievement for me rather than a professional one. But overall, the experience, it allowed me to become a more well. I know this is rather cliche, but it's really true about the whole thing. It allowed me to become a really well-rounded person. I think as well, given that extra responsibility, being the only guy on the trip, I think it gave me this sense of not self-importance, I guess, self-responsibility. I sort of felt like a big brother to a lot of the girls there, and I felt that, um, I felt myself sort of wanting to, to to look after them, and I suppose, um, it sounds cliche again, but sort of look after them, protect them, and that sort of set off this thing in me that I've never had before, because I've always been obsessed with my family, and I've never sort of felt like I was um, any sort of responsibility, but it was a real sense of independence. I mean, look, I think that's been to the massive benefit of my personality, because now I feel like I can do anything and I can go anywhere and still live, function effectively, I should say. It's been a massive, I guess, accolade for me personally, to go over to Malaysia and go over to Asia, and live and flourish. I mean, that's been one of the best things about the trip, for me personally. In conclusion, this trip allowed me to explore many of the different things which relate to the profession in which I'm going to go into, in a different country, and in a country with a lot of hurdles, regulations, and different factors for the practitioners to take in before they execute a campaign. Um, that was one of the most interesting things about it as well. It also allowed me to think about how to work in a team, how to work in a team with people who are from a different cultural background, from a different racial background, and to work effectively in a team and to get the best results out of each other. That was one of the biggest, especially being from Warrnambool, somewhere which we don't see a lot of multiculturalism down here. So that was a fantastic learning curve for me personally, I think. Lastly, I'd just like to say thank you very much to you, Mark and Brian, for being amazing and allowing me to flourish in the environment over there, because you really sort of made things really enjoyable, while still being incredibly beneficial professionally. So yeah, I vastly enjoyed my time over there. I learned so much, and I hope you enjoyed my video. I hope you enjoyed my assignment. Thanks very much, guys. See you later. Bye.